Countdown to Kickoff is supported by and brought to you by Saltire Energy, the global market leader in specialist drilling equipment rental. And also by Craig International, a truly global company with 10 bases all over the world. The future of global procurement is right here. Tuesday night, it's our first home game of 2024, and after the weekend's disappointment, it means that the Aberdeen fans are looking for an immediate response against Dundee at Pittodrie. Kickoff is at 19:45 UK time on Tuesday evening. To put the game into context, a win will take us above Dundee and it will edge us ever closer to Hibs and that top six, which is the least we can expect. Yes, we have games in hand, but those points are not guaranteed. It is, again, another huge game after the weekend's disappointment. Hi everybody, welcome back to the studio. This is Ali Beg ABTV here on YouTube. How are you doing? So this is a pre-recorded show, and the idea behind this show is to combine two into one. So we're going to review the Hearts game as well as looking forward to the Dundee game on Tuesday night at Pittodrie. So I have asked you to leave your thoughts and your comments on my social media pages, which you have done. And I will read out most of them a little bit later once we've taken care of all the housekeeping. Talking of housekeeping, I would like to very quickly thank a gentleman called Barry Clark, who recently signed up to the membership scheme here on ABTV. So Barry has very kindly made a financial commitment to the channel. And I would also like to thank those members who have stuck around, particularly over the last few months where the content has been a bit on and off, obviously due to my illness. So thank you so much for your continued financial commitment. And the idea now is to collaborate basically what I'm earning from you, and I'm looking now to reinvest into the channel to bring you new graphics and bring a new look to the channel as we sort of edge towards the end of the season. So I'm looking to implement new features and new bits and bobs between now and the end of the season, so that when we come back for the start of next season, I'm hoping to have a brand new look for you. And I won't be able to do that without your help. So I'm fully conscious that I have to rely on the goodwill of people to sign up to the membership scheme. And for that, I will always be very, very grateful to you. So before we look back on the Hearts game, there is something I want to address. And this is this protest which is being targeted for Pittodrie tomorrow evening on Tuesday. Now, I've said in my Herald column today that personally, I have no issues with people whether they want to protest or not. It's absolutely none of my business whether you want to do it or not. Only in the past few hours, there was a graphic put out on social media basically saying that after consideration, the protest will now take place after the game, which is absolutely the right thing to do, because it was concerning me that the original idea was to protest before the game. And I felt that was counterproductive, because I felt that the players, particularly ahead of this Dundee game, don't need any distractions. They need to be fully focused on the task in hand, which is getting the 3 points against Dundee and bouncing back from the weekend's defeat. And I felt any sort of distraction could go against them. And a win against Dundee will put us in a better frame of mind going into the Celtic game at the weekend. And that's exactly what we need the players to do. So I'm glad that there's been a sort of a change of heart and that this protest will now take place after the game. So, look, again, whether you protest or not is absolutely none of my business, and it's not for me to say. What I will say is that I fully understand why that people have decided that this is the route to take. I fully get it. So make it peaceful. Make as much noise as you will, but just keep it peaceful. And let's have absolutely no abuse of any individual, because I don't think that we're that type of club and we're that type of fan base. So let's see what happens tomorrow night. Right, so I've cleared the timeline so I can get all the bits and pieces in from the Hearts game, which was obviously, for the opening 25 minutes, I thought we actually played particularly well. And I'll be honest, I was caught by surprise, because I thought it would be Hearts that would absolutely dominate the game and take the game to us, whereas in fact it was the complete opposite. So absolute kudos to the team for coming out and really having a go in the opening 25 minutes. The goal that was disallowed by VAR. Again, I'm losing faith. I really am with VAR very quickly, and it's becoming a huge hindrance on our game. And for me, it was a perfectly good goal, and it speaks volumes when the lad went down after this alleged collision, accidental trip with Bojan Majowski, did not appeal. None of the Hearts players appealed. None of them went to the referee. None of them put their hands up. Nobody went to the assistant referee. And for me, that speaks volumes. So for me, we were absolutely undone. And I felt after that our heads went down a little bit, and we did not play anywhere near the levels that we had in the opening 25 minutes to half an hour. And it was particularly disappointing that after we went a goal down, that there appeared to be no fight, no desire, and no will to get back into the game. And that for me, it was almost like the players had sealed their own fate. The fact that we didn't have a shot on target in the second half, again, tells you everything you need to know. Obviously, we've done a little bit of business this week. So we very much welcome Killian Phillips to Pittodrie, 21 years old, 6 foot 2 inches. He's an Ireland under-21 international. He's got 5 caps at that level. He comes from Wycombe Wanderers, where he played most of the first part of the season on loan from Crystal Palace. He'd made 30 appearances, scoring a couple of goals. He's very much an attacking midfielder. So, look, we welcome any player to Aberdeen. I can't help but think, and without trying to put a dampener on it, I can't help but think he's not the type of player that we need right now. We need a more defensive midfield type-esque player. So, look, you never know. There might be a reshuffle in where players might play. If we're going to get a more defensive midfield sort of thinking player, the only player I can think of that can play in this role at the moment would be the skipper, who could drop back, patrol that area just in front of the back 4, back 5, whatever you want to call it, and allow the more attack-minded and players who can really change things instantly, the more creative players, let's say. So, look, welcome to Pittodrie. I hope it goes well for you, and all the very best. So, Saturday, obviously, we lost by 2-0, grand penalty, and I have to say it was a fantastic finish by Shankland. But by that point, I think the game had already gone. This is what Barry had to say after the game. The thing I was angry about was that after they got the penalty, we never performed. I said to the players afterwards that when you do go behind, you've got to do better than that. The performance we gave for 65 minutes today, we have to give for 90 in every game. I'm a fighter, my players are fighters, and we just do all we can now to try to find a way to win the game on Tuesday night against a very good Dundee side. So let's take a look at the match stats from that game. So we enjoyed 45% of possession, most of which came in the first half, to their 55%. In total, we actually had 16 shots but only one on target, which was the Bojan Majowski disallowed goal. We conceded 14 fouls to their 10, and it was 7 corners apiece. So I think Barry just about summed it up right, that it was, after we went behind, concerning and hugely disappointing. To some, it came as no surprise. I must admit, I wasn't overly confident going into the game, but I was hoping 3 points would have been an absolute bonus, but I would have taken a draw to come away from Tynecastle. And I also think it speaks volumes that, you know, a number of Aberdeen fans started to make their way to the exit after Lawrence Shanklin scored his goal. You know, it was almost like, we're done. We can see that we're done. We might as well just make, you know, early thoughts about heading back up the road. And for that, I completely understand. Okay. I just want to grab something which I'm sure that you've already seen on social media, but I want you, if you haven't seen this, I want you to have a look at this. Now, this comes courtesy of a gentleman on Twitter. I think it's called Neri Toepoke, who put together a number of stats which make for quite worrying reading. It was Aberdeen after 20 league games in each of the last 10 seasons. And you can see how over the past few years it's got worse and worse. And this is a worrying trend, particularly after season 2020-21. From there on in, our points tally has slowly got worse. I just thought if you hadn't seen it, it would have been interesting for you to have a look at that. So, you know, there isn't, you know, somebody sent me a message the other day saying, you know, unfortunately your shows are all doom and gloom at the moment. And I'm trying to put a positive spin on as much as I can, but it's almost impossible because of the, you know, this sense of rinse and repeat that we have with the team at the moment. Do well one week, awful the next. Then we get a result out of nothing. And then when we just think we've taken 20 steps forwards, we take 30 back the very next week. And it is difficult to try and put a positive spin on that. You know, to try and find for somebody like myself, and I always found this when I was working for Club TV, to find the right balance between when a team is going through a bad patch, to try and support the team as much as you can and try and find the positivity. You also can't pull the wool over the eyes of the fans because they'll see right through you. And finding the balance, I'm finding at the moment, probably the most challenging that I ever have since I've stepped into broadcasting. Because at the moment, there isn't much to be positive about. And, you know, I am confident that we'll get a win against Dundee. I think it's going to be an incredibly difficult game because Tony Dock knows us better than anybody. And he's got Dundee playing a fairly decent standard of football. You know, they had an impressive win at the weekend. Okay, I bleat all against the bottom side Livingston, who are just all over the shop at the moment. So it is going to be a very difficult and challenging game. But I'm confident that we can come away with it. And as I said earlier, go into the right frame of mind against Celtic. But it's going to take a monumental effort from the boys tomorrow night. So let's try and predict the team. Just let me grab it. Right, so I've got Barry's pre-match thoughts. I've just picked a couple of his thoughts out ahead of the game. Right, I think I put it under here. One moment, there it is. So let me just put it in order for you. And I also need the match stats for you. So where are the match stats? Where are the match stats? There we go. Right. So that's everything on the timeline. Okay, so let's try and predict the team news. So what I'm kind of hoping on Tuesday night is that he goes with 4 at the back. Now, Ruby is still out and Stefan Garteman went for a scan, which they're still waiting to get the results back from. So I expect us to play with Jack on the left, Richard Jensen and Angus MacDonald in the middle, with Nicky Devlin on the right-hand side. Then I've kind of gone with three in the midfield with Leighton to just float just in front of them behind what I'm hoping will be two up top in Esther and Bojan. And in the middle, Shinza, Connor in the middle, and then Jamie McGrath out on the right-hand side. So that's what I'm kind of thinking the team will be against Dundee. But as we know, it's all a guessing game. So, did you know Aberdeen's form at Pittodrie has been particularly poor this term, with Barry Robson's side winning just 3 and collecting 11 points from their 9 home games in the league so far. Dundee have lost their last 8 league encounters with Aberdeen at Pittodrie. In fact, Dundee have won just 1 of their last 25 league meetings with Aberdeen. The man in the middle is Nick Walsh, and on VAR is Chris Graham. And just to finish everything off, here is your weather forecast for tomorrow. So at kick-off, they're expecting the temperature to be 4 degrees. They're expecting the winds to be extremely gusty tomorrow evening, reaching up to 24 miles an hour. The low is expected to be at 0 degrees, the high at 4. So it's going to be a cold evening. So whatever you do please wrap up. Right. That is everything in that I wanted to do. So now I'm going to basically start reading out your comments. I just want to come down to... So I'll start on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Martin Smith said, we're 20 games in and Barry still seemed to be experimenting with his tactics, especially his subs, to change a game. Feels like chuck these guys on and see how it goes. It should be a 4-2-3-1 with McDonald in the back 4. Need width and pace with patterns of play drilled in. Right. A Twitter account called Agent Alba TM got in touch. Let me go through his posts for you. So he said, my thoughts are that Barry Robson is out of his depth. He should have left after the Ross County match, regardless of the result that day. Aberdeen have only won 11 of 31 matches played in all competitions this season, 9 of which have been against the top flight opposition. I always feel Aberdeen this season have been 1 win away from papering over the cracks. This coming Tuesday being a perfect example. The fans have backed the team home and away this season in large numbers. The fans are the most important part of any club. He finished off by saying, we've invested well in the summer. However, the manager and the coaching team aren't getting the best out of the players. The players also need to take an element of responsibility. It's clear Aberdeen fans don't like Robson anymore and he has to go after a year in the job. Okay, so that's all the comments that came in on Twitter, X. So let me start now reading the comments that came in on Facebook, and there's quite a lot of them, and a lot of you are extremely unhappy. Let me start with Christopher Mainland. Apathy is the overwhelming feeling at the moment. Why bother wasting our weekend subjecting ourselves to 30-minute performances at most? But do we really want another manager? If so, an experienced head is what we need. And let's not forget, it's been a year since we sacked Jim Goodwin. And yes, we've played European football. And yes, we've got to a cup final. But our league form has not improved in any way, shape or form. Robin Hall has said, how long do we keep blaming the manager? Of course, the buck has to stop with the manager. But unless there is a change at director level, we will be here again in a short space of time. Dave Cormack and Stephen Gunn have to be held to account. Neil MacDonald has said, the thing I'm dumbfounded by was at the end of last season, a big transfer budget, loads of signings, many never saw a pitch before being offloaded. I think Barry Robson, and I've said this before, he needs an experienced manager with him to show him all the aspects of running a team and how to deal with the media, win, lose or draw. It's the same response, which grates. Scott Bowie has said, Barry should have went after the debacle at Parkhead when we shipped 3 goals in injury time. I just can't listen to his post-match interviews. All he ever says is that we played against a good team. They are a good team and we're going to play. And as best I get, as I understand it, glad Barry gets it because the rest of us don't. Ian Ritchie has said, I'm thinking, and he puts in abbreviated commas, sadly, that we need to lose to Dundee midweek and that will make the decision easier and then we all move on. Lewis Finney has said, I get no pleasure in a manager being sacked, but I support AFC and the current situation isn't sustainable. Above all, we must not be in the bottom six come April. Derek Griffiths has said, I can't complain about the first half against Hearts. Don't get the Miovski goal that was disallowed. Totally baffled by the decision. Anyway, still not good enough. Still don't know where our next wins are going to come from. Very tough games coming up as Tony D has got Dundee playing some good football. Then we've got Celtic. Then we've got the Rangers. I'll be hiding behind the couch watching those games, he says. Martin Flett says, we appointed an inexperienced manager and then complain because he's inexperienced. Give him the rest of the season. If he doesn't progress in that time, change in the summer, but not another mid-season sacking, please. A new manager wouldn't take us to third anyway. And who's available right now? Troy Deeney, he says. And I'm sure he says that. He writes that with his tongue in his cheek. Murray Wright has said, I don't think the board are even thinking about a change. They will look at it as 9 points behind fourth spot with 3 games in hand and decent runs in the cup. I want an experienced head in now. Our stats are damning in the league. With the squad we have at our disposal as well, it's alarming. Massive game on Tuesday night and the 2 Old Firm sides coming up after that. You see, this is the first of 3 of our games in hand. And everyone is talking about, well, yeah, but we've got 3 games in hand. The issue is, the way that we're playing at the moment, and because of the nature of our performances, we're not guaranteed 9 points. Anything but. So, for me, it's like, let's just put to one side the fact that we do have 3 games in hand. It's a bonus that we've got them. It'll help us massively if we can get the points. But as I said, at the moment, we are far from guaranteed 9 points. Doug Smart has asked, can we have a discussion about Robson's substitutes? On Wednesday, he left 4 attackers on the bench while we were drawing 1-1. And yesterday, he stuck them all on. It seems he doesn't know what to do if the starting 11 doesn't work. To be fair, in his post-match interview, he did mention that and he did talk about how he didn't quite get that right. Gordon Ritchie has said, VAR decision on our goal in the first half against Hearts. It was strange. VAR decision on our goal in the first half, strange. Okay, I understand. We played well in the first half, and after the penalty, we were poor. We have to take our chances when on top, must win on Tuesday and get some points on the board and climb the league and see where we are. Come on, you Reds. Phil Hunter, it's not just Barry, the players need to stand up and be counted. A few of these players need to be dropped. Give the youngsters a run out. What's happened to Jack Milne? Surely he should get a run in this team, and the goalkeeper Doohan should be given a chance as well. Doohan. Gavin Bush has said, lose to Dundee, then forget top 6, let alone Europe. Third is gone. Barry is not the long-term fix. We need a manager with proper tactical awareness and use of substitutes. Duncan McBain has said, they played great first half, just struggled with final third. Story of our season. I question Barry's tactics, not his commitment to the club. Sadly, I feel he's out of his depth, but would rather he return to the under-21s than get sacked. Scott Harrison is saying, now is the time for us to call on somebody like Neil Warnock or someone of his like. Next guy in charge needs to be experienced and from outside of Scotland or the Scottish game. I don't agree with all the nasty comments coming towards Barry or Dave. In fact, I worry of the pressure running a club has on Dave and his heart. Nice guy, but may need to just enjoy his time with the family. Look, I'm totally with you with that. Personal abuse is absolutely uncalled for and unneeded at this time. Protest, fine, but do it peacefully. The personal abuse, it doesn't help, particularly now, because we all need to come together to try and help the boys get through what has been a really, really poor season so far, if you take away the European campaign and the League Cup run, etc. Personal abuse does nothing for nobody. It doesn't help. Neil Bridgeford has said it was recently announced that Aberdeen had made €5.1 million from their European campaign after finishing third last season, and therefore getting 2 bites of the cherry. Not likely to even qualify for Europe this season, which will be a huge financial loss. Unless Dave Cormack makes the change before it's too late and gets an experienced manager that ideally has managed bigger clubs than Aberdeen. Phil McLean has said, I hear Klopp is available. Donny McDonald has said, hopefully the boy from Crystal Palace will play a Ramadani role. I don't think he will. I think he'll play further forward, Donny. Shinnie can't do it all on his own, especially after he gets booked. Also, in refereeing terms, we now have 2 levels of incompetence, on the pitch and in the VAR room. Raymond Jugad has said, played better against Hearts, more fight and better football until we lost the first goal. 4 at the back is definitely suiting us better. Midfield looks better with Barron and Polvara, but still lacks creativity. Not enough of them getting behind opposition defence. Bojan needs help up top. A lone striker is okay if midfield are supporting. If not, get another player up top. The inconsistency is absolutely killing us. Paul Donaldson, on its own, a 2-0 defeat away to Hearts shouldn't be a sacking offence, but it has to be considered along with the rest of the season. Barry Robson should have gone after the St Mirren game. No disrespect to St Mirren, but no Aberdeen manager should survive a 3-0 home defeat to a club at that level after an already very bad run of results. The wins over Ross County and Clyde have papered over the cracks. We need to bring in an experienced caretaker manager for the rest of the season, avoid a relegation playoff, and allow enough time to get the next permanent manager appointment right. I don't think I'll be back to watch Aberdeen until there's a change of manager. Alistair Davidson has said, played well in the first half against Hearts, but once the goal got chopped off, felt the heads went down. We all wanted Barry to do well, but it just doesn't seem to be working. Quite a few of you are commenting about, when things go well, the communication from the Football Monitoring Board is favourable, but when things are going bad, there's nothing. It's the silence is absolutely deafening. A lot of you have commented about that. Alex McDonald has said, win, lose or draw, if Robson is in charge for the Dundee game, it should be his last. Third place is out of the window now. Even if we want to make the top 6, we have to get rid of Barry. He is a liability and not an asset. 12 wins out of 38 is not a record to be proud of. He is making us a laughing stock. Neil Essen, former teammate of mine at Boys Club level, unsure why he keeps taking Barron off. Shinnie and Clarkson don't work. They're far too easy to play through. It's a good point, Neil. Again, a lot of you are talking about, even though we started the game against Hearts really well, we just completely let our heads go down after we lost the first goal. Stuart Patton has said, big test selling season tickets with a style of football on show. Many won't renew. Okay, right, that is basically all the comments that have come in. So we're at the end of the show. We've done exactly half an hour. So thank you so much for watching, as always. It's great to be back in the studio. And all that's basically left to say is the very best of luck to the boys on Tuesday night. I really hope they can bounce back. I really hope they can get their confidence up. And I really hope they go into what are 2 huge games feeling good about themselves. I hope the fans during the game get right behind the team, which I have no doubt they absolutely will. And yeah, let's just hope for some positivity on Tuesday night. That's all we can hope for. A decent result, 3 points, and positivity to take us into the next 2 games. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the game, and I'll see you on Wednesday night for the review. Take care of yourselves. Stand free.